Welcome back to the Heart of Homeschooling Show. My name is Cher, and we're so glad to see all of you here today. Thank you for deciding to join us on our second episode. So super exciting. Last episode, that was our maiden journey, and we were trying to tell you what the show is all about. Again, this is open to all currently homeschooling parents and those parents that are thinking of making this a lifestyle for them. And with me today is my beautiful co-host, Sig. Welcome, Sig. What are you drinking today?
Hi, Cher. Of course, I'm having tea this morning. So really nice to be doing the second episode with you. And of course, we have our lovely and wonderful guest this time around. And this is exciting because it's going to be, of course, our first guest for the show. Kaya we're so excited to have her here. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest for today. Her name is Laksmi Maluya. And right now, she's the president of the Homeschool Association of the Philippine Islands. Wow, and that's really the organization for all homeschooling providers, members, and homeschoolers generally. And of course, she is also the founder of Gopala Learning Haven. And that is something actually I would really want to talk about later on, and also find out from her own homeschooling journey as a homeschooler herself. And of course, now as a homeschooling parent. So, welcome to the show, Laksmi.
Welcome, Laksmi.
So nice to have you.
Hi, thank you so much.
What are you having this morning? I'm having tea, and Cher's having a drink.
I'm also having tea. It's Vishnu Kanta tea.
Wow.
Fresh from the garden.
Yes,
wow.
Actually, ang galing because Lakshmi is also a plant, how do you call this? A plant-based diet advocate.
Well, planting pero plant-based diet, yeah. I've been on plant-based diet or vegetarian diet since birth.
Wow.
Amazing, no?
Amazing. Let's just talk about that. This is amazing already.
I don't know how she's able to do that. Actually, that's all part of her, I guess, philosophy as a lifestyle as well, not only as a homeschooling parent, which is really a wonderful thing to learn about.
Galing, Laksmi. Doon pa lang. Bawa na ako sa'yo. Galing mo.
Exactly. Sabi ko sa'yo madaming experts dyan. She being one of them talaga. Yeah. Okay, so let's start a conversation with our guest this morning. Okay, I really this one when I learned about Laksmi's background and all, I was so fascinated because I think it would be good to start from her own, sharing her own experience. You yourself, Laksmi, was a homeschooled child, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me how it was? Because this is a unique perspective, Cher. I think we're getting the perspective of both a homeschooler and a homeschooling parent as well. So I want to start off with maybe her own experience as a homeschooler. How was it like for you growing up? That time, of course, talaga homeschooling was not so popular.
Yung homeschool journey namin was really, if you ask most of my batch homeschool mates, not many of us will say masaya or madali. Because just imagine in 1980s trying to homeschool in that time where it's not really known. There's no such thing as homeschool provider, no such thing as homeschool support. And
correct.
The biggest challenge was when some of us had to go back to traditional school. Some of us wanted to go to college. Yeah, for us, for me, I went up to high school. I went straight. My mom was really hard on doing it. Bata pa ako, I really wanted to be a teacher because I so admire our parent teachers. Kasi nga puro parents sila. Talagang we really felt we were growing up not with teachers but with parents. Kasi they were with us during classes and after classes sa mga birthday parties, celebration, or community, nandun pa rin sila. So talagang we had an extended family. Talagang super extended. Super extended yung homeschooling family namin. And that's when nung high school, that's when I really wanted to to take up education, and I wanted to parang figure out how I can share this experience to more people. Parang nagkaroon na ako ng ganun, calling, desire. Nasabi ko, I so love the way I was raised, and I want people, other families, other kids and teens to experience this. Of course, I passed the test. That's why I went to college. Pero accomplishment yun for many of our parent teachers, because somehow they felt na parang syempre, like all the dramas of parent teachers or the homeschool moms and dads, na parang they feel inadequate, or they felt they didn't teach us everything.
Right.
But the thing is, they taught us all the things that we needed. That's why we were able to go, or that's why we were able to be where we are right now.
Okay, so Laksmi, we went from your childhood journey, right? And then you went on to college. And again, I think that's also proof that, for the homeschooling parents out there, if you ever doubt if your child can make it in college because they're homeschooled, ito po si Laksmi. And she correct, exactly. She is a prime example that yes, homeschooling can work for families, for children who decide to pursue university and college later on. It's not only good for kids that are in the preschool ages or in the early grade school ages. Yes, you can homeschool all the way to high school. Now there's junior high school, senior high school, and yes, your kids can be successful adults later on in college and university. So, Laksmi, moving on from you went to college, right? You finished as a professional. So, after having acknowledged that the homeschooling journey was it's a little bit difficult sometimes, it was especially during your time, as you said, because right now we have the blessings of a stronger homeschooling community.
Yes.
Right? You have homeschool providers, you have the support systems all over.
Yeah.
Correct. So what made you decide from being a homeschooled child to being a homeschooling parent naman? So how was that transition like? And how did you manage to go from one end of the spectrum to the next?
Well, actually, for me, it was not really a matter of choice na. Like I mentioned earlier, when I took up college, andun na yung heart ko to really spread the benefits of homeschooling. And that's why when I had my own children, homeschooling na talaga yung nasa puso ko na gagawin din namin sa kanya. But of course, since I have a husband, I had to ask him if it was also for him. And because homeschooling, kailangan pareho kayo. At least pareho kayo ng husband and wife na agree to homeschool. Otherwise, magsisisihan in the end. kahit na ba ako yung magtuturo or ako yung magiging parent, homeschool parent, we still need the support and guidance of the husband. So sa akin, yes. Medyo parang I let them do self-directed learning or give them more say when it comes to their education. And nagkataon lang din, like I mentioned earlier, we play it by the seasons of our life. May set ako. We have a set. We have a set of, we want to achieve these subjects, we want to cover this much or what. But the thing is, life happens and we want our homeschooling not to be getting in the way of life. Something like that. Or it goes hand in hand with life. Because of our, for us kasi, my husband and I really focused on values formation, character building, and discipline. This is the whole focus growing up.
The foundation of your...
their foundation. And that's why, and many people ask me, how come your kids are like this, or how come your kids like that? And I tell them, it's not an overnight thing. It starts really young,
Yeah.
And yung discipline nila, the way they bring themselves, the way they they act to or respond to chores or work. It's a long process, and it's not easy for me because sa parent tayo, alam niyo, I think ito rin yung isang sa mga sana mag-give up natin as parents, no? We tend to control everything. Like we had a tutorial center, and parents really demand so much from their kids, and sometimes very controlling na tayo, na parang we want them to be perfect. We want to control how they will grow up, and so parang they want, and because of this, di na natin sila nabibigyan ng chance to grow on their own. So to learn to make mistakes and to learn from that mistake. And sana sabi ko nga sa mga parents, no, sometimes yung discipline nga is giving them a chore na kaya mong tiisin as a parent kung ano man yung result ng chore na yon. You know, you cannot parang be hovering na, oy, kailangan ganito, kailangan ganyan, kailangan maging ganito yung results. No, you have to give them the chore and let them do their best from that task. And after doing the task, tsaka ka magbigay ng inputs mo. You know, and because of this, they own their task, they become more responsible to their actions. And it starts from little things, no?
That's actually the challenge of I guess parents as it is much more for homeschooling parents, no, kasi sometimes it's letting them experience that journey themselves of yung self-correcting, yung they learn to self-correct, and it hits home stronger. I mean, it really hits home for them if they realize the mistake themselves and if they're correcting it themselves as well. Or yung self-realization na, oops, if I do it this way pala, it takes longer, or it hurts more, and all those things. So maybe I should try it another way. And I guess it's empowering them as well.
Yes, it's empowering them.
Correct na yung owning their decisions, like what you said. Yeah, you're right.
Right now, I'm embracing all of the benefits because I hardly cook na in the kitchen. All of them, 3 girls are already,
amazing,
responsible enough to be able to cook every day, 3 times a day. Na minsan meron pang mga special occasions katulad ng mga birthdays, they know how to cook it. So yes, the reward. Yung sabi ko when you're looking for the benefits right now, it's really difficult to see.
Yeah, actually,
can I just point out that how interesting that as we talk about homeschooling, right, or schooling in general, right, the things that we've been talking about, if you notice, are chores and discipline and values. And it's just so interesting to me because we're not talking about so ano yung math course and like quizzes, like, and I think that's one of really, when we talk about the heart of homeschooling, which is really I think why it's such an apropos name of the show, is that when you talk about homeschooling as a movement or as an endeavor or as a commitment, it's really not about, of course, it plays a part, the academic part and the program and the curriculum side. But when you speak to homeschooling parents, it really goes back to, Sig also mentioned this prior, to values, right? To what is it that you as a homeschooling family would like to live out, right?
Yes.
Through your choices of delivery of that education to your child, whether it's unschooling, homeschooling, or the traditional framework. It's really about values, and like what you said, Laksmi, discipline, right? And to what Sig was saying, the ability to self-correct or to recognize or have that self-awareness to do what is right, to do what according to their capacity is the best that they can do in a particular situation.
Kasi we focus on life skills. We focus on life skills, skills that they will need throughout life. And those are the things that we neglect as parents. And I see this as being a teacher. I see this in the families that go through us. We see parents na sinasabi sa anak, anak, ang trabaho mo lang mag-aral ka. Mag-aral ka, just focus on that. And wala ka nang gagawin sa bahay. wala kang gagawin sa bahay, ganyan. Parang mag-aral ka lang, that's all they do, and that's all they want from their kid. But the thing is, here comes college, and they don't know how to cook for themselves. So andyan si noodles, andyan si instant, or buy this from the restaurant. I'm not against that, but the thing is, life skills, diba? It's something that you need to learn. Not necessarily when you go to college, but sometimes you go back to it kasi when you have your own family, or you get to have that chance. You will have to learn. And one of the most highlight, I think, growing up as a homeschooler na naipasa ko rin sa mga anak ko is that yun nga, yung pagdating sa grade 7, pagdating sa teen years, we were really given the opportunity to explore different career paths at an early age. Not just parang in the books, na kailangan nandyan sa books natin 2 to 3 hours, naka-PE ka na, naka-music ka, in our experience, in my experience, I really lived it. I really lived each and every lesson. For example, naging ako sporty. I can't even imagine, doing taekwondo or doing but I really lived it and I enjoyed it. The training really taught me so much about discipline, and we had different projects that involved me thinking outside the box, and not just the books, but actually applying the lessons in the books to real experience, real projects. And that's how we learn it. That's how we learn, through really experiencing the lessons inside the books. Kumbaga parang bubuhayin mo yung lesson natin. Hindi katulad the experience right now is the kids, after matapos yung libro, after the summer break, tapos na sila. They don't want to think anymore about academics. They don't want to think about learning anymore. And one of the things that I learned growing up as a homeschool child is that learning never stops. As long as we are living, there are moments that we need to learn. Like right now, both of you are learning from this conversation. So, kailangan lang matutunan natin, ibigay sa anak natin yung thirst for learning. And because of that, kung ano man yung gusto nilang i-pursue, they'll do anything. They'll learn what they need to learn so that they can pursue it. So, yun yung isa sa mga bagay na.
That is so interesting. Galing, Laksmi. So, okay, so we were talking about basically your journey as a homeschooled child to now being a homeschooling parent, and then now what Sig also mentioned earlier, hindi ka lang nag-homeschool ng sarili mong mga anak. Mag-decide ka pa na ikaw, now you are leading the movement in the country, right? You are now, at the head of HAPI, which again is Association of the Homeschooling movement in the Philippines. So I know you have again that very valuable perspective of seeing the different ways of how homeschooling is now applied in the country, right? And I think in the matter of you also have that ability to kind of maybe distill for us, for our audience, the existence of the different, like, kunwari kung ako, diba? Like, ano ba yung homeschool? Ano ba yung program? Ano ba talagang ginagawa niyo sa kurso ba yan? Parang how do you guys do it? Maybe you can give our audience a little sneak peek into what do you mean exactly when you say, I know you were mentioning earlier, there are programs and support. Ano ba talaga yung different homeschooling programs na meron for parents that might be interested in pursuing this lifestyle?
It's basically an association of leaders from different homeschool providers. And homeschool providers are service providers. They are not schools, and some of them actually are schools, but they have special offering or special services for the homeschool community. So they offer the services to the homeschooling families who would like to be DepEd accredited or like Seton internationally accredited. So homeschool provider means you are enrolling with a school or a provider learning center, service center that will help you with the documentation, with the transcripts, and most of the homeschool provider, provide training and mentoring of parents. So yun yung pinaka-role ng homeschool provider. Pero ang talaga difference with the homeschool provider and the homeschool support is that yung homeschool support naman, they don't provide DepEd accreditation or international accreditation. Basically, there's no transcript. It's just a loose support system, like an online FB group or a physical community group where, parents gather, exchange activities, teach their children. So, like the co-op. The co-op are small or group of families who come together. It doesn't have to be big. Some of them na alam kong co-op, may 2 or 3 lang sila, tapos puro pa magpipinsan. So that can be a co-op. A group of families supporting each other loosely. Walang mga name, walang registration. They're just loosely, support group. But the provider is quite, let's say, mas may formality because they are supposed to be, the government. They have government accreditation or permits. So that's the main difference between a homeschool provider and a homeschool support group. So if you are looking for, depending on what you are looking for, you can avail of those different services or helps now that is available, that was not available during our time. Kaya many parents right now, actually, you are very fortunate because there are so many providers now and support groups who can help you.
Laksmi, maybe you can also discuss, ano ba yung, when you say provider, right? So there are different modalities, right? Yes. Also available for the children, those that are in the programs. Hindi lang siya, because right now, obviously, a lot of it would be online because, again, dictates of the pandemic, etc. But if it were not, for this pandemic, alam ko merong different ways, and there are different providers that have different points of entry or parang, for the children. Maybe you can also discuss that a little bit so that the parents out there have an understanding of how is it done right now.
Well, basically, kung entry point lang, it's just normal, re-enrolling or transferring of children from one school to another. The question would be, what are you looking for? What type of service are you looking for? Doon kasi nagkakaiba-iba yung homeschool provider. Because like Seton, for example, they're internationally, and they offer a box curriculum. I don't know much, but box curriculum is may set ka na ng curriculum, you just follow it. Like the Calvert, nung panahon ko, pangarap ko yan Calvert eh. Kasi ang cute ng box curriculum nila. They'll send you all the modules and all the materials that you will need for the whole year, na may mga freebie, cute materials pa on the side. So that's the box curriculum. So some of the providers naman offer a certain type of method. For example, ngayon we have Charlotte Mason, which is our living learning. So sila yon. They are really many parents are now going for it because it's more I guess it's more nature-based, values-based also. So that's why parents are really going for it. So it really depends on what you are looking for. Pagkopala naman, like I mentioned, when people come to us, our advocacy is the play-based learning, interest-led learning, and of course, like yung sinabi ko kanina, our focus is really values formation, character building, and discipline. So this is what we really aim to provide families who come to us.
Clarify, right? So for if you are a family that is intending to homeschool your child, I think the also one of the primary distinctions which you pointed out to me, Laksmi, was that you have to kind of make up your mind. Are you looking for a program that is DepEd accredited or not? right? Because there are those that are not. And if that is the case, right? If you want a DepEd accredited program, which okay, to other parents also, they might not know what is the difference between a DepEd accredited and a non-DepEd, or what does it matter if it's accredited in the States or in another country, whatever. We'll also maybe clarify that some more in their future episodes kasi hindi po natin matatapos lahat ngayon. But essentially, if it's an accredited by a governing body of a particular country, you were also mentioning, it just makes it easier for the child to get the necessary documents to transition back to a regular school, a mainstream schooling, if the family decides for that to be the case, right? Otherwise, like what you said later on, there are placement tests available that children can take to gauge their skills or their ability to join that particular grade or level, right? So maybe that's one of the first things. But after they decide that, and then we do have all of the providers, or maybe if they don't need the DepEd accreditation, the support in the country. Which, if I'm guessing correctly, they probably will be able to find information as well in the HAPI website, malamang.
They can visit happy.ph, the website.
Okay, happy.ph. So
right now we're very active more in our Facebook page. So it's a Facebook.
Okay, so we'll share that as well. Don't forget to check out the descriptions and where we're sharing the show so that you can see where you can get in touch with them. So based on that, now after having decided ano ba yung path na gusto mo for your child, right now you can kind of filter it down to somewhere to what maybe provider or support aligns with your values.
Tama ba? Aligns with your values.
I guess at the end of it all, maybe what's really at the heart of most parents is really to give for their children, the best that they can do, whether it's in homeschooling or in traditional schooling, because I think that's always at the forefront of any parents' intentions for their child. So it's really just the getting there and the journey that spells the difference. Whether you're going to do it as a homeschooler, you're going to do it as a traditional educator, or traditional way through the brick and mortar school, or maybe as an unschooler for some. It's the kind of adventure that you want your family to get into and to journey in, right? So wow.
What should parents look out for pag, diba, if they're evaluating parang legit ba to na provider, or parang should I be thinking twice about engaging this provider?
A homeschool provider who says that they are DepEd accredited, if they cannot fulfill this, then that means their children will not be admitted to the next level. So, yun lang naman yung parang sad part doon. Masasayang yung year because it will not be accredited. Year or years. Because I recently interviewed one parent who was enrolled with the school, for several years, and she just found out na it was not ever recognized by DepEd. So, similar situation for a homeschool provider who says that they are accredited. So, similar lang din.
Okay, so I guess that's one thing to watch out for. Again, if you're a parent exploring this lifestyle or this method of education for your child, please do make sure that you do ask the provider if they are DepEd accredited. If that is a concern for you, again, in transitioning into a school, and would it be,
or make sure that they have a school partner that is a DepEd accredited, because most homeschool providers are not school. They are partnered or they are affiliated or connected with the school. Pwede ako mag-plugging.
Sure.
Biglang ganun eh.
Sure.
We are talking about how to enter school, homeschooling, what are the steps, and actually I made a course for an international academy on homeschooling here in the Philippines, and I asked permission to launch it locally muna. And I will be launching it soon. So it's homeschooling here in the Philippines in the context of really breaking it down. It's a course. It's a parent course 1 year in the making. hard work. 1 year in the making siya na course, and kaya ako biglang sabi kong pwede i-plugging because I feel it will be a great help for parents if they are not yet decided, and I broke it down into 3 chapters and then different lessons according to what you really need to be prepared with when you want to homeschool, or even if you are already homeschooling, it's a refresher course for you.
That's exciting. And don't worry, guys, if you're watching us right now or listening to us wherever you are, we're going to try to convince Laksmi to give a special discount to our for the program. Maybe we'll have a special code.
Yes. Sign up using the link.
Yes, we will share the information of the launch of that program.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a general outlook. It's not just from one point of view.
Laksmi, do ages, I know we talked about values, having it be in sync with your family situation, what your general goals are for education, for your children. Do the ages of children play a particular part in the decision-making process when you're trying to see kung anong provider or support yung kukuhanin mo for the child?
Well, for me, kasi when I do interviews for the parents, and when the kids are teenagers, we really encourage the parents to talk with their teenagers what they want or what type of schooling they want to do. So that actually determines what or which program you want to avail of. Some of the kids kasi, for the younger kids naman, usually it's something that depends sa parents kasi some parents really want an academic provider, so yung talagang rigid program. So there are providers naman that are like that. So yun din, kaya nga kailangan i-consider what your goals are. And dun sa age naman ng mga bata, maybe not the age but how they learn. Yun yung mas
the learning style.
The learning style ng bata. Because if you availed of a box curriculum, tapos yung anak mo naman hindi naman into reading modules or hindi naman siya into reading books, then masasayang lang.
I have a question that may sound stupid, basic. pero I'm curious lang, does it matter? Does your what you call this, your means of livelihood, does it influence what kind of provider or support you should get? Meaning to say, your work situation. Parang, if you're like your husband and yourself, or your partner and yourself, you're both working full-time, you're going to the office, is that a consideration versus if someone is a business person? Meron bang ganun? And how does that influence what choice of provider you now choose for your child or support?
Legitimate question, and to share with everybody, this is part of our interview sa Gopala. Kasi it's really part of my interview sa Gopala because we want to know how much time you can give for homeschooling. Depending on what the parents can give, that's the program that we can match it in. So also just like Gopala, I know some of the providers also have those different setups according to what the family or the parents are able to commit to.
So that's good to know. So when you're evaluating, I guess, your situation or your work situation, it's not even so much as to what type of work you do, but the time that you have available. Yeah. And again, reassuring to know that versus a traditional school setup where you're expecting that if you're schooling your children or your child 8 hours or 7 hours, 5 hours straight. It's good to know it doesn't have to be that way. You do not need to have, and am I right in assuming as well, it doesn't even have to be a block, like a straight 3-hour block.
Yes.
Yeah.
So pwede if you have like an hour in the morning, tapos maybe in the afternoon and in the evening, that can still be, of course it's considered homeschooling, but I would say it can still be a successful homeschooling journey. Okay, so guys, so you can do this. So what are your dreams or your vision, your future plans for first maybe your family in the homeschooling area, with your GoPala endeavor and with HAPI. What are your dreams for the future?
Well, gagamitin ko yung line ko dun sa course ko. The line from my
course... sneak preview.
The
line from my course is that although homeschooling is growing in the Philippines, we are still young compared to the other countries. So one of my goals here in the Philippines, being the president of HAPI and also with GoPala, is that more and more families really, I love your name, learn the heart of homeschooling. Get it across, no, not only to the families, but to our educational institution, because many teachers, educators, in the educational department, they still have a lot of doubts about homeschooling. And this is one of the goals that I do hope that we can accomplish.
Laksmi, do you have any message, to close this super inspiring episode to all potential homeschooling parents, or those that are still evaluating, again, if this is a commitment they would like to make, or if this is the lifestyle they would like to lead? Any words that you'd like to say to them?
I guess I will be sticking with my tagline or quote. There is no one way to do homeschooling. The only best way is the one that works for you and your family. Kasi no matter what you choose, it's still, at the end of the day, what really matters to you and your family. Yun. Doesn't have to be this curriculum, that method, or this approach. What works for your family.
Wow, that is so inspiring.
Thank you.
Some encouraging words for all of our homeschooling parents out there to really go and think, consider this as a homeschool, consider this as an option for your family. We have wonderful, we have wonderful opportunities and options out there. You just like what Laksmi said, you don't have to follow what your neighbor did or what your fellow homeschooler does. It's really recognizing your child's needs, keeping them at the center of everything, and going for what works with them the best, and of course for everybody in the family. Thank you so much, Laksmi. It was so inspiring chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for blessing us with your time and experience and insights. I'm sure a lot of parents today, even if they're not parents, I'm sure a lot of individuals today were enlightened by your sharing. So thank you. I know you're super in demand. You have a lot of things going on. So we really appreciate you spending this time with us to really, again, get people started on this journey. So, Sig, would you like to close this episode?
Okay, well, just like what Laksmi said, again, to reiterate that really choosing, if you have your children at and your child at the center of your heart and your desires for really educating them is at the forefront of your intentions for educating your child, I'm sure you go the right way. And it's a matter of just choosing and finding out those different options, exploring the different options that are made available for you. So again, with that, thank you so much for joining us, Laksmi, and thank you also, parents, for joining us today. I'm sure you learned a lot in as much as we, Cher and I, also learned and picked up many things from the very experienced Laksmi Maluya, who's joined us today. And don't forget to do subscribe to our channel, The Heart of Homeschooling, and we will promise you more interesting episodes in the future, in the next few sessions that we will have over our cups of coffee or tea, or in Laksmi's case, that wonderful cup of tea that she has. So do look out for more episodes. And thank you so much. Cher, would you like to say your closing piece also?
Thank you very much once again. And please watch out for more exciting conversations on the Heart of Homeschooling. We aim to bring to you the journey that everyone is in right now or contemplating, from the tips, tricks, again, the messy in-betweens of the homeschooling journey and homeschooling experience, please make sure that you do subscribe, like what Sig said, and do watch out for our future episodes and all of the free resources that we will have available to you, as well as the secret discounts that only you will find out if you follow this show. So on behalf of the community, all of the audience, again, thank you very much, Laksmi. And to all of you out there, make sure to share this show with your friends and family that you think might benefit from knowing all of these information about homeschooling. On behalf of my very beautiful co-host and our even more beautiful guests, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.